Hello, welcome back to BLENDERSUSHI live noding. In the previous video, I was trying to do this grease pencil to do the animations of an object. So it was kind of interesting, but I realized that after sometimes, if I actually repeat like grease pencil strokes multiple times, that's a lot of data, like maybe like 1,000 or 10,000 points data very quickly. So it's not very optimized for animations. Um, Ideally, even for like motion capture data, you tend to want to simplify the curve, and then so that it can be used in real time. So I realized maybe I just need to use the FCurve of an object. Oh yeah, previously before the grease pencil experiment, I actually did try to use nodes to do kind of animations. Like in this case, I'm using nodes to generate this triangle wave and then try to do the hold, and then I end up with something like this. Although you can do it, and some people actually like doing this using nodes and then make like quite a big node. Sometimes you can control the curve basically if you're really good with math function, whatever functions, like let's say you want an object to animate like this, you can turn this into functions. I don't know how they do it, but maybe they just try to sample each part and then try to make everything into a functions and then connect them together. But I think I found that it's rather pretty complex. So I decided maybe we just use like a normal FCurve in SpreadChalk. Can we actually do that? I don't know yet. Maybe we can, but maybe there is no nodes that does it for us. Anyhow, let's start with an empty. This empty is gonna be like the motion buffer for us. So for the empty, for example, and then I just do the keyframes of the XYZ, maybe in the Z. So if I keyframe on the frame 1 and then do another keyframe on frame 24, doesn't matter. I just create like a hold animations, and then this one go up 1 unit, keyframe it again, and then the next keyframe, and then it's a hold, and then move back to 0, 0, 0, and keyframe, and then another keyframe at 0, 0, 0. So the object just go up and then down. It's a linear motion up and then hold, and linear motion down and then hold. It's really simple. This is FCurve test. Let's first of all check this animation in the graph editor. So this is the dope sheet. Of course, if you're an animator, you're used to this guy, and then you can do keyframing and then offset of animation, etc. But I like to use graph editor, and let's have a look. So we have the X location, Y, Z. We can view by only selected curve keyframe. So let's say we don't need the X and the Y. I'm gonna select them and delete it. In the Z, currently we have like a ease in, ease out. We don't want that. I just want it like to be like a linear. So handle type set to linear. So linear interpolation. So we just move up and then move down. Of course, at this stage, we have full control, over the animations, how long you want to hold that position at 1 and then move down. Yeah. Now, with this guy, we can use modifiers. There is a cycle modifier that allows you to cycle an animations. And this is, I guess this can be handy for what we are doing. Let's say, okay, we are done with the locator for our animation buffer. Now we want to use that cycle of animations into another object. Let's use SpreadChalk to do that. New, and then let's use objects in MK2, and then let's say in SpreadChalk there is no easy way to grab the transform or to get the attributes of an object. I wish there is. We can of course set an object ID like the delta locations, and so on. I'll try, like, let's say we have the monkey and then we want to change the scale of the monkey. We just change this to the scale and then grab this locator and let's pipe in the matrix out. Hopefully I'm doing it right. Locations, let's use stethoscope and check the data first of all. The location is XYZ, the stethoscope only takes a single value, so we need to separate the vector value as well, and then check the Z data. See, you can see the Z value is changing. I can pipe the Z into the value of the scale. The scale value is requiring a vector in, so I need to use vector in and then plug this 1, 2, 3 into the scale. Scale of what? Scale of the monkey. Now we have to grab the monkey. Use another object in MK2 and then select the monkey and plug in the object. Hopefully this is animating. Okay, it's working properly as expected. This, of course, you can do this much easier using animation nodes. Obviously, this is just another way you can do this. If I use a torus, for example, and then if I use animation nodes, I'll switchly show it to you. We can use the object buffer, object transform input is our locator. Oops. And let's go to animation nodes, turn off always. Animation nodes, when the node editor is on, is always much slower somehow, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is at the moment. So if we want to grab this animation buffer and pipe it into the torus, we can do that easier, like object transform, using object transform output, or you can also use the object attribute output, whichever you like. I like to kind of make sure I understand both, how you can do it using SphereChalk or animation node. Sometimes with SphereChalk you can do like multiple values much easier, but with animation nodes, sometimes using loop and stuff, it's easier to understand. Depends how you like to think of it. So back to this thing, the empty is moving up and down, so we can use the location value. Currently it's a vector, so we need to separate the vector. So separate vector and just grab the Z value, plug in the Z value into the scale, and we can pipe in the torus. So now the torus is kind of being driven by the location Z of the empty. Yeah, this is the idea actually. There isn't much else I can show you, of course, except that for one thing, currently this the buffer, the empty is like I said, having a buffer of animations of the motions that we're copying into another objects. Now it makes me wonder, can we actually kind of offset the time and have like a multiple different times pipe into different multiple objects, so they're kind of they're still doing like this kind of motion, like linear motion, scaling up and then hold, and then scaling down and then hold and scaling up again. Can we have like multiple objects and multiple time at the moment? Perhaps we cannot actually do that unless we bake the motion first. So currently the motion is really being affected by this guy, the empty, controlled by the time. Like I said, at some point I was talking about driver, and driver is when you have like a value A controlling a value B, for example. That's one type of driver. In terms of normal animations, you have a time that's controlling a value. Now with the time and value, of course, you want to, at some point you want to offset the time, yeah, to push the animation. So at the moment the animation looks like this. We want to be able to kind of shift the time so the value is changing depending on the offset time. I believe we can actually do that already using animation nodes. It depends on how um, we can offset the F-curve. So this is the next thing I will try to do and try to explain. If we can separate the F-curve, maybe we need to bake the animations first and then resample the F-curve. Maybe we can do what we want to do much easier. So we will see whether I'm using animation nodes or spread-chalk. It's a different matter because basically in a bigger kind of scope, we want to understand just how we can handle all this kind of data. Like let's say you have multiple F-curve. Let's say you have an animation that does this, and then you want to be able to add another motions, whether it's mixing or maybe you are adding kind of data. Maybe in the next motion the character is doing that, and then you want another motion where suddenly the character is doing weird kind of animation like that, but you want to be able to mix it, or you kind of adding it and to create a single animation curve. Can you do that? What if you want to be able to stretch the animations or kind of controlling the amplitude and all those sort of stuff suddenly coming into my mind? Maybe perhaps even like in Blender you have something called actions. I don't use much of the action, but actions is used a lot in the game, and then basically it's super useful if you have like a multiple actions. Perhaps you can kind of combine it and mixing an actions to control behavior of a character. Can we do that? Can we do that in a way that's more useful for us? So F-curve and actions are two things that I have in mind to do. Maybe in the next future live noding. I don't know if I can do it yet, but I'll have a think of it. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I want to talk to you today. It's basically like a driver, Currently, I cannot really control this. Maybe I can use another modifier that's kind of shifting this guy. Not noise. Noise is adding noise. Cycles, before, after. This one didn't do much, I don't think. So I can repeat it like multiple times before and after. So that's interesting. But is there like no, that's a built-in function. So maybe there is a way we can shift this generator. So there's a shift. Yeah, maybe I can offset it this way. I don't know. This one is offsetting it up and down. Yeah, but it's something to think about anyway. So from the original animation curve, we can use the modifier that's provided here and then bake it out. When we are baking out, it's always like easier, but baking it out meaning the curve is no longer like alive, but you can of course easier to mix the curve one is baked. Yeah, anyway, it's just a quick talk about F-curve. In the future session, I'll try to think of maybe we can like have like duplicates of F-curve and then kind of offset the F-curve using our own custom time. Yeah, okay, that's pretty much it. If you have any comments, feedbacks, or suggestion, let me know down below. If I say something that's not correct, you can always fix it. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next live noding.